Hello everyone, this is the MX CAM01, and I don't normally do camera reviews, but I was a sucker and I bought this camera. This camera, as the thumbnail probably said, is over $19, and I bought two because I thought, what are we getting for our money? And that's kind of what I want to answer in this video. It's not necessarily about is it better than some of the cameras I'm comparing it to, but what I see in this camera is a traditional form factor. You know, we haven't seen the simple cameras really evolve too much. Things that we find in all-in-ones, and we would buy them for typically $4 or $6, something like that. And so I wanted to see what this is about. And it touts itself as a 800 TV line, 120 degree low illumination. Now, if anyone recognizes this camera and knows if it's a spare part for another quad, please leave that in the comment section down below. You can look at the specifications over at the Banggood listing. I'll have it listed down below. There's nothing really noteworthy in those specifications. So typically I don't do cameras because the way I would want to do cameras, I'm not set up for. So I'm going against my own better thoughts here, and I am doing a camera review. You might not care for how I do a review. I completely get that. Really, if I were to do this properly, what I would have is a rig where all the cameras would be mounted up. They'd all be recorded straight to a DVR. We would eliminate VTXs. We would eliminate the variable in the DVR. We would be able to point the cameras all in the same direction. We'd be able to move the cameras all in the same way, and it would be very static and easy to compare. I'm not set up for that. And that's one of the reasons why I do camera reviews, and I think they're very tedious and very, very subjective. I think we kind of have to pick our own cameras. But because this one is so expensive, at the very least, the value that I can contribute is you get an idea of what you're getting before you get it, but because I don't know that there's any reviews on this thing. If there are, I can't find them. So in the first section, what you're going to see is just pictures. I've taken DVR. They're all within a few minutes of each other. You know, I did all of this kind of at the same time in about 15 minutes. It is daylight. This is inside. We will have an outside flight here at the end. Unfortunately, I don't have a real powerful PC to where I can match up all the different flight footage. We do have some inside flight footage that will be a short comparison. One thing I should note is I'm including the Nano in this, but the machine that the Nano's in is not prop guarded, so it's not something that I can fly in the house. So when we have the movement, we can't necessarily compare it. Also note that the Mobula 7 includes the VTX, and that comes in at about 3.8 grams. The Caddx EOS with its stock cable comes in at 3.6 grams, so almost as much as the Mobula 7 all-in-one. The MCX CAM01 comes in at 1.76 grams, so substantially lighter than the EOS. I suspect the Nano is coming in something close to the EOS 2, but I don't have that off the machine in order to compare, so yet another fault of this review. These are the pictures I prepared you for, and they're just kind of sitting in the same rough location with roughly the same angle, so you can look at the lights. If you need to pause the video at any point in time, you're always free to do that as well. These are flights that I have done, and despite my best efforts, I did a really poor job of lining up these flights. And actually, as we get deeper into the timeline of these flights, the flight path gets more and more off. I tried a couple different times to do that. Some of you that have been around or you are active on Facebook would have seen that I posted a little video kind of asking, is this camera any good? The thoughts seemed to be somewhat mixed. Some people thought it was pretty good. Some people thought it was average. Some people thought it was on par, or it had things it did better and things it did worse. But you get an opportunity again just to look at it. I don't know that I would say definitively one way or another. I think it's better than the camera that's on the Mobula 7. And you could probably say that about a good number of the all-in-one cameras. I believe the Wolfwhoop 07, I think it is considered one of the better cameras. There's also one from RaceDayQuads that's considered a pretty good camera as well. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those to compare it to, but you do get an idea of what I'm probably going to say this way too many times, you get an idea of what you're going to buy for your $19. And maybe the price will come down. Maybe, you know, I bought two of them, so it's not as though this was one of those items that was listed and it had the wrong price and then it went to sale and the price dropped way down. This is what I bought it for. I bought it for $19.37 each. I'm going to let a bit of this footage roll. I only have 3 minutes in total. You've already seen about a minute and a half of it, so you have about another minute and a half to watch, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at an actual flight inside with it, and then we'll take a look at an outside flight with it. So in this inside flight here, I'm actually trying to go a little bit slow, which is not my forte, so you can actually get an idea if there's any sort of digital artifacts of some sort or another when you're in movement rather than looking at very steady pictures. In the outside flight, I do try to line up. I've only got about 20 seconds of flight footage that lined up very well that you can compare in all those little different boxes, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute. But I wanted to give you an idea of what it looks like when you're just flying it around at kind of a slow and steady pace. Not necessarily an entertaining or fun or thrilling flight, but again, that's not what I'm trying to accomplish. This is our outside flight. Get that pause button ready. I've only got about 17 seconds of this footage. I tried my best to get things lined up, and unfortunately a cloud came out and covered up the sun during my EOS 2 flight, so that makes this thing whole kind of skewed when it comes to comparing to the EOS 2. Here's some flight footage, a full screen of the camera, the MX CAM01. Inside, now that we're clear at the end, and those people that may have just had some initial impressions, and my opinion of it, inside it did look quite a bit better than the Mobile 7. Of course, it didn't look as good as the Nano or the EOS 2. But when it comes to weight, how much are we willing to pay to save a few grams? Or do we not care about the amount when it's that much? Or I'm really interested in what you think. Like if you had a camera, say it's like the EOS 2 and it comes in at under 2 grams. How much would you be willing to pay in the micro arena for a camera like that? Now, of course, if you're looking at larger quads, I'm thinking of mainly those quads that are sub 40 grams, even sub 30 grams, a lot like we've been flying recently with the 2S brushless whoops. That extra bit of weight makes a big difference. So I'm wondering what that is worth to us. Saving a little bit of weight versus having a better picture or better image. How far would you go? Would you say this camera, if you were to buy this camera, what is the camera worth to you? Is it worth $10? Is it only worth $5? Or is it worth the 20 bucks? I seriously doubt any of you would vote for this being worth the 20 bucks. So if I've offended anyone with my poor testing or comparison, I do appreciate you coming and giving me input. I understand that the way I've set this up isn't very good, and that's why I don't do camera reviews. I would rather just fly and have fun than to walk around with a rig and do all those things, and that's probably why I've never gotten around to setting myself up in order to properly test cameras. So I just don't do a lot of cameras. I think they're very difficult to test them well, and it requires quite a bit of effort, really. I mean, if you're doing a comparison in a multi-window environment, you need to have a fairly powerful computer in order to effectively give the viewing audience an eye to where you can make a decision about what's better, especially when it comes to a lot of the larger cameras that are more not micro sub 40 gram size quad fitting, but the cameras themselves weigh 5 to 7 grams, something of that nature. The differences is really, really minor in a lot of those cameras, but this one was so expensive. I thought it was important, especially after posting that Facebook teaser, of putting something together. So at the very least, if somebody else like myself saw that and thought, hey, that camera's got to be quite a bit better than any other camera I've used in the same arena, I'm going to get it. Well, at least now you know what you're going to be getting. Leave your thoughts on cameras, what they're worth, weight versus price, image quality versus price, all those different things down below. I'm very interested in knowing what you guys think, how you guys see things, and maybe some way we can influence the market. Maybe if they're out looking at these sorts of things, who knows? But at least it's worth our time, I think, to do this sort of exercise every once in a while, to take a look at something that's so extraordinarily priced and to see what it's actually worth in the market. You guys determine that. I don't. I'm in the market. I buy this stuff, but I'm one guy, and you are many more people. All right. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.